everyone, this is again Ricky Cabani Grikelmi from Barangay Consumalig, Bayawan City, Negros Oriental. BS in Agriculture, major in Agronomy and Pamplona State University. So, in this video as instruction, as I'm going to answer the following question and lesson 6. Question number 1. Based on the discussion, what is the difference between light dependent and light independent? So, the light independent reaction of photosynthesis take place within the stroma. It contains enzymes that work with ATP and NADPH to fix carbon from carbon dioxide into molecules that can be used to build glucose. The light-dependent reaction of photosynthesis take place within the thylakoids. In the light-dependent reaction, energy from sunlight is absorbed by the chlorophyll, and that energy is converted into stored chemical energy. In the light-independent reaction of the chemical energy harvested during the light-dependent reaction drive the assembly of sugar molecules from carbon dioxide. The light-dependent reactions convert light energy into chemical energy. The light-dependent reaction of photosynthesis convert light energy from the sun into chemical energy. The goal of light-dependent reaction of photosynthesis is to collect energy from the sun and break down water molecules to produce ATP and NADPH. These two energy storing molecules are then used in the light interdependent reaction. Within chloroplast, chlorophyll is the pigment that absorbs sunlight. It is stored in the thylakoid membranes in protein complex called photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. The series of light-dependent reaction begins with sunlight hits to a molecule of chlorophyll located in photosystem 2. This excites an electron which leaves the chlorophyll molecule and travels along the thylakoid membrane via the series of carrier proteins known as the electron transfer chains. The light-independent reaction, which is Calvin cycle, use stored chemical energy from the light-dependent reaction to fix CO2 and create the product that can be converted into glucose. The ultimate goal of the light-independent reaction of photosynthesis is the assembly of molecule of glucose. The ultimate goal of light-independent reaction of Calvin cycle is the assembly of molecule of glucose is the part of photosynthesis that requires the CO2 the plant gets from the air. Essentially, the plant needs the carbon from the CO2 to create the building blocks for the glucose. An enzyme in the stroma called ribosome combines a 5-carbon molecule of wrapped ribose bisulfite with the molecule of carbon dioxide. This creates a 6-carbon molecule that is broken down into the 3-carbon molecules. 3-photoglyceride, this part of the light-independent reaction referred as a carbon fixation. Number 2 question. How are the photons absorbed and utilized in the first stage of the photosynthesis? A photon strikes photosystem 2 to initiate the photosynthesis. Energy travels through the electron transport chain, which pump hydrogen ions into the thylakoid space. These form an electrochemical gradient when a plant is expressed to light. Photons of appropriate wavelength will strike and be absorbed by the pigment protein complex arrayed in the thylakoid membranes. When this happens, the energy of the photons is transferred to the pigment molecule, thus causing the pigment into the electronically excited state during the first stage of the energy from the light or the sunlight is absorbed by the chloroplast. Water is used and oxygen is produced during the part of the process. During the second stage of carbon dioxide is used and glucose is produced. Question number 3. Summarize the process of light reactions and Calvin cycle and photosynthesis. The light-dependent reaction take place in the thylakoid membranes. In the side of thylakoid membranes is called the lumen, and outside the thylakoid membrane is the stroma. Where the light-independent reaction takes place, the Calvin cycle is the process that plants and algae is used to turn carbon dioxide from the air into sugar and the food autotrophs need to grow. Energy to fuel chemical reaction and this sugar generating process is provided by ATP and NADPH. Chemical compound which contain the energy plant have captured from sunlight. So, question number 4. What are all byproducts of light-dependent and light-independent reaction? The product of light-dependent reaction, pathways of photosynthesis are oxygen, ATP, and NADPH. These reactants of light-independent reaction are ATP and APDH are carbon dioxide. There are two main stages of photosynthesis, the light-independent reaction and the Calvin cycle. The required light in their net effect is to convert water molecules into oxygen while producing ATP molecules from ADP and PI and NADPH molecules via reduction of NADP+. In summary, it takes 6 turns of the Calvin cycle affects 6 carbon atoms from CO2. These 6 turns require energy input from 12 ATP molecules and 12 NADPH molecules in the reduction of step and 6 ATP molecules in the regeneration of step.